So the number one assumption is that a fast metabolism leads to weight loss. And believe it or not, we don't really have evidence of that. When you look at different cultures around the world, some that are lean, some that are overweight, etc., and you compare their metabolic rates, you're like, oh, man, they're all basically the same.
Bringing you a reasoned approach to health and fitness. This is the Phi Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Phi Life Podcast. I'm John Barbin. With me is Brad Pilon. And today we're going to talk about seed oils. I know this has already been covered on tons of different podcasts, and you can read articles about it everywhere. But a couple of people have asked us to cover this, and to me, there's no there, but we might as well talk about it. So I guess there's controversy, or there's some
line of thinking,
right? Thank you. That seed oils are worse off for you than saturated fats or other kinds of fat, even though
seed oils are bad.
Yeah, seed oils are bad. The safflower oil, sunflower oils that come from seeds, even though they're unsaturated, it's because we've heard, but aren't unsaturated.
The bad type of unsaturated, I guess.
I thought unsaturated was better than saturated, but then it's too much 6 and not enough 3, but then they can be oxidized and all of this stuff. First of all, most people opining about this, I highly doubt, have advanced degrees in food processing or nutrition at all, which I find odd that people take such passionate stances on this, but don't. It's not their area of expertise, but I guess they
kind of is. That's the hard part about nutrition, right? Everyone's by saying that anyone with an advanced degree in nutrition is just sort of a bought off crony. Mm-hmm. It opens it up to, therefore, I've read dialogue from the bought off cronies that I like, right? Because they also are high levels, and so my opinion is equal. Like, it's a weird equal playing ground when it comes to nutrition exercise, right? So, or better yet, that guy has 3 PhDs, 2 MDs, and that's great and all, but I have abs. So I'm probably right.
Right.
That happens a lot too.
Right. So anyways, back to the seed oil thing here. So, and then people try to correlate it to, well, the rise of obesity in North America tightly correlates with the rise of industrial produced seed oils, but it also is correlated to just over consumption of
everything else,
total calories. You could make the same argument for obesogens in the environment, like your phthalates and all of those sort of things. You could make the same argument for the rise of just simple sugars or fructose. Like you could draw that correlation.
The amount of people who wear Birkenstock sandals, that's, for me, that's it, right? Like,
sure, right. Yeah. So, and I'm not saying an overconsumption of any high caloric item like an oil. That's just a lot of calories. Yeah. So sure, you could be eating a few too many seed oils.
I'm pretty sure the fried oils leading to trans fat. We've had the trans fat discussion for decades now. I think we know that's not good either.
Right. Yeah, so, and seed oils are typically oils that things are fried in, and then
but
there's
lower quality foods. Like I don't fry with seed oil at home, so it's typically a fast food thing. Right.
Yeah,
then minute amounts in your, not minute, but small amounts in your packaged foods, right? I guess palm oils, I guess, and stuff like it. Depends on how you define a seed. I don't think it's because of mass consumption of sesame seed oil in North America, right? Which is really tasty. But you know what I mean? Like it's not that. I think they're specifically targeting the use of seed oils in fryers in your local fast food joint, or the seed oils that are hidden in your ultra processed, as we talked about before, highly convenient snack foods you might get out of a vending machine. I think that's where it comes from. Otherwise, I don't know what we're talking about.
But look at the discussion we're having. I don't think anyone knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, and I don't know and then I've just never really looked into it because I don't care, to be honest. But I don't even know the magnitude of the effect. Like, I don't know how big of an effect we're saying is there.
But I don't think anyone arguing has that either.
Yeah, and then in my top 10 things I'm doing that are probably keeping me from getting a 6-pack, right? If we're just talking weight loss, I don't think that's in my top 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Yeah.
So if it's for a health thing, sure if you want to just reduce it all the way down to just olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. But then are you even buying a good olive oil? Like I've
Is
gone
it
down.
real?
I've had a few people educate me on the olive oil industry and how a lot of the olive oil you buy from a regular grocery store is not actually pure olive oil. It's cut with other
fake. Yeah,
oils.
it's crazy.
It's fake. So actually, I'm like, okay, maybe there's something to this. I can see how that might be going on. And it turns out we actually have a good olive oil place like around the corner here. So I went down
Nice.
and they explained like really good olive oil, like true pure olive oil only lasts like a year. So if anything you buy is like on the shelf for a while, it's like that can't possibly be real olive oil. It's going to start going bad. So, and it has to be in a dark bottle because the light can oxidize it. So I kind of like, okay, I'm on board with that. So we bought some like actual fresh real olive oil and it's got a lot of bite to it. Like
Yeah,
this is not like the oil I was
completely
buying.
different. Yeah,
Mhm.
remember so down in Dundas there's Piconi's, and I think they bring in olive oil from I think maybe Italy, but like it's almost got like a peppery bite aftertaste to it, and it's its own unique flavor that's not just olive. It doesn't just taste like the olives you'd get on a pizza if you do that. It's got its own, you're right, like unique, lots of flavor, lots of depth and character to it. Where you're like, ooh, like there's something here. So I agree with you. Yeah, the higher end ones you can taste the difference, and it's not once you have a higher end one, you're not coating a pan with it to make eggs, right? Like you're holding that away for different stuff. Yeah.
Well, and it's so the higher polyphenol ones are so potent with their flavor, you can just sip them almost like a bourbon or something. It's like there's a lot going on there. It's not just bland, tasteless. Anyways, a little sidetrack on. So if you want to get really into the oil thing, yeah, you could try to find the purest olive oils, like monounsaturated, and just be done with it. That and avocados, and now you're in your healthy oils that couldn't possibly be lumped in with the seed oils. But I'm sure somebody can find something wrong with those too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you can find all kinds of information on this to support your argument one way or another. And I think all of that's sort of meaningless if you're not testing what's going on in your own body.
Well, yeah, because you're arguing over the effect it has in your body without a measurement of any effect. So, and it's what's really weird is that most of the time, from what I've read of people arguing it, it's mostly Twitter. I'm mad that you're eating seed oils, not that I'm eating. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird. So I don't even have anything to measure my own body because I already don't eat it. But I'm mad that you're eating it, and it's just guessing at what's happening in other people's bodies. It's an odd thing.
Yeah, it's like they need to validate their nutritional worldview, and they'll engage in these online arguments about what somebody else is doing and not or whether or not they're doing it, to your point, isn't even enter the conversation. So I don't quite understand. Go ahead.
From a Phi Life point of view, that if you tested the markers you're concerned with, and then you started eating seed oils and those markers just tanked, and you showed that to us, and you and I would say, then you should absolutely not eat seed oils.
Mm-hmm.
And then if someone else did the exact same thing and their markers were fine, you think, I think you can eat seed oils. You're fine. Mm-hmm. But without that measurement, are we just arguing over I think we're mad at other people giving the advice to consume seed oils, right? And then we're worried, hopefully, altruistically, that it's going to affect other people. But we're getting right back down to that sort of populational-based nutrition where you're like, yeah, but in large-scale studies, you don't really see a difference. But then your argument is, but in some people you do, which to me is all the more reason to say, yes, exactly, because this is an individual thing. So you should know what you want to test if you're worried about it and test it. And if there's nothing to worry about, that's awesome, right?
If you're arguing over the merits of epidemiological research on different foods and you haven't tested it in yourself, you're just wasting your time and everyone else's time. Just if you think you should eat a different way, and some of the data that's been presented by whoever online, or you actually read the papers, you find it convincing, just try it, and then test whatever it is you think's going on. Do you expect your LDL or your triglycerides or your HDL to change? Like, make a little chart of what you've convinced yourself is going to happen from the data, and whatever you would hope to happen in you. Do you even know where you're starting? I always say this. Do you even know where you're at? Do you do you know how much of the stuff you've been eating? How long have you been eating it? Are you convinced that it's doing something to you? Have you measured all the levels you think are the things that are metabolically compromising, that you are worried about? And if you have all of that, then just remove it and test again in, I don't know, 3-4 months, if you can even do that, if you can be disciplined enough to do that, and then report back in just to yourself. You don't have to tell anyone online. Did it do anything? Yep. And if you're not doing that, you're just wasting your own time and everyone else's time that you're arguing with.
And it's weird. You would do this with if you were put on drugs by your doctor. You'd maybe even do this with a supplement, of the typical, you bought a miraculous muscle building supplement, you were on it for 4 weeks or 8-12 weeks, and you don't look or feel any different, you're not any stronger in the gym, you'd probably be like, oh, damn it, I wasted some money, right? Like you'd probably think along those lines. But when it comes to food things, we do, and this is my caveat, we do the whole, yeah, but I just feel better. And then I'm like, well, that didn't do that. Like, but I don't know if you can say that's what's going to make other people feel better, right? But the I just feel better argument are really, because now it's not quantitative, it's qualitative, right? So that would be like if me telling you, John, I cut seed oils and none of my markers got any better, but I sleep so much better. You're like, well, I don't know how to quantify that for you, right? Like
but there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you're,
but then that's good for me. But I don't know if I could go from person to person and say that's why none of you should. It should be illegal to be in food. Like that sort of concept. So
I think the overall problem here is in the age of social media. So there's a line between what's gatekept by the medical system and then what isn't, that we can all just do on our own and just see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems as though everyone's sort of armchair amateur practicing medicine on themselves in the combining evidence-based medicine with practical experience, but everyone's leaving out the practical experience. So they're just getting information or a story about the quote unquote evidence and just leaving it at that, and then making arguments based on that. And I don't even know if too many people are even applying it. It just sort of makes sense to them when they hear it said a certain way. And they're like, oh yeah, because that's going to change your cholesterol and then change your HDL. And then it might change your glucose. Yeah, that makes sense. That's got to be bad for you. Then the conspiracy of big industry, big pharma, big food is trying to make you sick and all of this other stuff. Let's say all of that's true. Let's say there's this massive conspiracy to keep you sick. Test it in yourself. If you think it's causing inflammation, you can order an inflammation panel for like $100 and just do your own little test and just see if it's doing that to you.
Is the main argument obesity?
I don't even know. It's just this. It's not healthy. It's wrecking your metabolism. It's why you can't gain weight or lose weight. It's everything's going wrong. Yeah, everything's going wrong because you have the wrong oils going on and you're metabolically compromised. If you believe any of that, just test it in yourself.
Done.
And present, and you don't need to tell anybody else. Just prove it to yourself. And if you're not willing to go to that step, yet you're passionately arguing about it online, you kind of come across as a bit of a fraud. And yeah, it's sort of, what are you just enjoying the argument, I guess, if you're not actually going to take action on it? Like all we care about here is taking action. Like obviously there has to be some at least rough concept of why you would take an action at all. So sure, different kinds of oils going to have some different kind of effect on your metabolic state and on your lipids, of course. So, but do you know what you're eating, and B, what effect it's having on you, and C, what intervention you take to try to change that effect?
But you have to have clearly defined goals, and then you need to take an action, and then you need to be deadly honest with, did that move me towards that goal or not? And if it moved you farther away, which sometimes does happen, and you have to make a decision there on whether or not that's doing, like, you just got to be honest. And I think that your point with these things is that it's not about taking action, it's about opining for almost entertainment value. But then the problem is the opining for entertainment value is affecting people who might actually be considering taking action. And so it's Yeah. So I think your goal should always be identifying goals and then identifying your best bang for your buck action steps towards that goal. And again, for me, I don't know in my list of the top 10 things I'm doing wrong right now if seed oils is in that top 10 for me.
Nah. No, not for me either. If you're gonna, again, all we care about is what's going on in your body and you tracking yourself and getting results for yourself. So if the seed oil thing matters to you and you just feel really strongly about it,
absolutely test that stuff.
I would say set aside a couple $100, order a test. I always say this. I use altalabtest.com, Altalabs. I don't know. Look, it's one of those.
Put the link in the.
I'll put the link in the notes, and that's in the United States. I don't even know if you could do this in Canada. It kind of sucks.
We're not allowed to do anything.
And that's the one. That's the one I found. There's all kinds of do-it-yourself lab things, but Alta just seems to be pretty easy to use. And their stuff goes to Quest, so Quest is like all over the country. It's a well-known lab. But yeah, if you're serious about this and you're not just want to argue online, but you're worried, you really think seed oils is something to deal with, and you've noticed, man, I kind of do. Like I got a lot of how I eat, they're in there. Test yourself now. Remove the seed oil source and test yourself in 2 months and see what happens.
And it nothing might not even be the seed oil. It could be something else in that source, but at least you know now that whatever you were eating and that you removed, you made that choice. If it made a valid improvement in your health, that's amazing. Let us know, by the way, if you actually do that.
Yeah. If you've done this, let us know. And and if your measurement is I just feel better, okay. If that's if that's all you wanted to know, that's fine too. I mean, obviously, in the end, you'd like to feel better.
I'd like to know why I feel better, though. I think that would always bug me if I just feel better, but don't know really what. It would be interesting.
But that's you. You would like to know. I mean, maybe people don't. Maybe some people are just.
Most people don't care.
It just doesn't feel good, and they want to change something to feel better. And whatever they've seen presented about seed oil seems to fit with, like, oh, maybe it's that.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to test anything, I don't know. I guess you're just entertaining yourself with the online argument. So. I don't know. So I guess we didn't really give people too much insight here on the seed oil thing, because I just think there's nothing there.
You got to measure it.
You got to measure it, and it could be any of the deleterious effects in the research could easily be explained just by excess calories, totally, and the seed oils just contribute to excess calories. So it's again. We're all about testing and measuring what's happening in your body. We don't actually care what research says about other people, because you weren't in that seed oil study. So it doesn't matter what that study said. What matters is what's going to happen in your body if you take the time to test it.
Yes. Done.
All right. So maybe not what people expected to hear for seed oils, but that's our take on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So for Brad Pilon, I'm John Barbin, and that's your Phi Life Podcast.